Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Piqued, a meetup for electronic music makers. I'm your host, Corey Luna, and on AV is Rich Hogben. And tonight we've got Dirty Bill on video modular and Sombre Lux doing some wonderful, probably ambient or maybe some other style of music on some modular synths. And before we get into those, I'd like to go over a couple announcements to give a couple of shout outs to some of the other shows out there that are wonderful people. So in no particular order, there's just a few people on here that have made some really unique things going on. First off is the San Francisco Electronic Music Meetup. Now, if you haven't heard of them, they've been around for a long time. I think they've been meeting together for about maybe well over 10 years, maybe 15, not too sure. But they're a really great community where if you go to them, they do a peer review once a month on, I think, the second Wednesday of every month, where if you join the video chat, the Zoom chat, you get to do a little introduction. Everyone says hello first, who they are, what they do, and then they go into, and whatever tracks have been submitted ahead of time, as long as you're there, they will listen to your track live and give you live feedback on your track. And this is a wonderful tool for any of us who are doing music production. It's been a really fascinating experience and always really welcoming, very warm, welcoming people. And one of my friends, Amy Lee, is one of the main people behind that, and it's always been a really fun experience, as brief as it has been that I've done it myself. And we've also got Resonant Frequencies, which is dear to my heart, as it's one of the first live shows I started going to on a regular basis back in 2018, back when it was, I think it was so relatively new. I think I maybe started out going on maybe the fourth show. I think it was that, like, maybe April 1st in 2018. My friend Lenny and I got to go to that for the first time, and that's where we met our friend Dirty Bill, who's performing tonight. And Bill and I have crossed paths at many other shows as well, and had a wonderful experience here and there, traded modules, purchased modules, and it's really fun to have him on here. And if you ever get a chance to check out Resonant Frequencies, I'm not sure if they're doing the live stuff anymore, but they were doing quarterly live shows since last year. They started doing that again, although I haven't heard recently. So maybe Bill can let us know about that a little later today. And there's always, and Resident Frequencies, I believe, is always the first Sunday of I guess every quarter now. It was every month on the first. And we'll also have Resident Electronic Music Monthly, which is, again, another virtual show. It used to be in San Francisco at the Laundry in San Francisco. And that's been a great open mic for basically anyone who wants to join, anyone who's got some wonderful music they want to present to a crowd of people. Again, virtual now, and it's still a wonderful experience where if you want to join, you contact them through, I think, Bay Area Improviser. They've always got their information up there, provided by our friend Tanuki Spidercat. I believe she runs that a little bit, and of course Frank Martin is the host of that, and he does a wonderful show every month, and it's always the second Tuesday of every month. So anyone who, wherever you are located nowadays, if you're curious, go to BayAreaImproviser.com or .org. I have to double check that, but feel free to sign up wherever you are. It's a really fun experience and very welcoming. Frank always has a link so that if you want to, you can always join in on the video chat that he does in between the sets. And all you have to do is submit a pre-recorded video with music, and he'll set you up. And he usually tries to have a maximum of about 6 performers every night. And you can always do a collaboration with a video artist, which is wink, wink, nudge, nudge to Bill Wachowski here. Always a fun thing. And we've also got, now we're going to, let's see here. Oh, and we've got our friend Fetz. He does Sonic Sundays. Fetz always has a really fun show going on Twitch. So you can find Fetz on Twitch under FETZ. And he does a really cool video set where he's doing video manipulation with a variety of different video tools. And he'll also showcase different artists here and there. And it's always a fun time. He's always got some great beats going on, and does some really fun stuff between modular and also doing a lot of traditional synths as well, which is really fun. And we've also got, let's see here, Modular World, which I'm relatively new to that, but that's been a really fun thing put on by John Wells. And that's been a really great, big worldwide event, of course. And he's always got some really unique people from around the globe just on there all the time. I think he just did a show just the other night. I think about 2 nights ago. Sombre Lux was one of the performers on that, and he did a great set. And he's going to do another interesting set for us tonight. I'm really excited about this, Jordan. And thanks again for coming on. And he's gonna, and John Wells for Modular World, I think he's gonna do an all Japan episode pretty soon, which I'm really looking forward to that, because I need to hear more people from Japan. I would love to hear more and maybe get some other people on here. I would really like to get maybe Hataken, if some of you know who he is. I had the pleasure of meeting him in person once, I think it was either 2018 or 2019. Our friend Scott, under the artist name All That's Gone, he hosted Hataken, who did a live modular breakdown of his set at his apartment in San Francisco, and that was a really special thing. It was really fun. So now on to a couple of other interesting things going on that are not video shows but podcasts. There's the Podula Modcast with Tim Held. He's out in I lost the name. Sorry, Seattle, Washington. And he's a cool dude. I've had the pleasure of hanging out with him a couple times in person, and he's still doing his show. It's still running nice and strong. And he's always got some great, unique music on there, does cool interviews, talks to everybody. Whether you're doing audio, video, or you're building stuff as well, he gets to talk to a lot of people. It's really fun. And there's also the Inner Freak with Gelatona and her partner. I forgot, sir. I forgot your real name, but the Inner Freak is a really cool podcast. They started relatively recently, and they're still doing. I think they're still kind of like getting their thing together, but they've been producing a lot of cool stuff, and of course they're interviewing a lot of people, and they're based in, I think, Arizona, and I forget what, I think Phoenix, Arizona, I believe it is, and they're, if I'm not, I apologize, but they're doing a great thing out there. I love that they're doing it, and check out The Inner Freak. It's a FREQ, which is always fun spelling, and they've got a great podcast. And then another wonderful podcast is Source of Uncertainty, a book club podcast for you, which is also really fun. I think they're based out of Oregon or Seattle. I don't quite remember, but they're always fun. They always do some cool stuff. And also, I wanted to make sure, if you haven't heard, listen to Art Plus Music Plus Technology with Darwin Gross. If you haven't heard Darwin Gross's podcast, he's been doing it for a long time. He talks to a variety of artists. They're not all music artists, but a lot of visual artists as well, fine art people. He does a really interesting thing. Of course, he's very well in depth on the electronic music scene, as well as he's got a big background in that, and he's one of the most knowledgeable people on the scene. Really fun, but haven't talked to him in a little while. I should email him. He's a nice fella. So check out those podcasts; they're always really great. And right before we get into the show, there's a couple more. Sorry, guys. One publication, Waveform Magazine. I know a lot of you are reading it, but if you haven't checked it out, check out Waveform Magazine. Again, published out of Seattle, Washington, um, and it's a really great publication. They do artist reviews, they do music reviews, they do hardware reviews. There's always a T-shirt of them for that issue with the cover, which is always a cool thing. And they always have a kit. If you're into the DIY stuff, they've always got modular kits. They've got specially designed for the magazine. It's a really cool publication, and that's done by Ellison Wolf and his partner M, and a few other wonderful people. I apologize, I don't know your names, but again, Waveform Magazine, fantastic. Go to waveformmagazine.com. Really cool stuff. And let's get into a little bit of hardware, like Needham Woodworks. Eric Needham, if you haven't seen, he does some amazing cases, all handmade hardwood, beautiful work. I believe he's still located in San Francisco. I've been to his studio twice, not since 2019, and had the pleasure of checking out his set, everything he was doing. Back then, he was just finishing up a case that was commissioned by Ludwig Göransson, and that was massive, totally massive, but beautiful. And he's gone on to do even more beautiful work, which is always cool. And he's also got a second company called Eschatonic Modular, which is the power sources which he uses. If you want, he can have those custom designed into your modular case, which I've heard from Nathan Moody are solid. So I'd be excited to get some of that someday. And of course, someone you may not have heard of, Michael Rucci. He makes synthesizers out here in the Bay Area. I believe he's in the East Bay. I don't think he's doing modular at the moment, but he's been doing standalone like pedal style synthesizers, like 8-bit synthesizers. He does like a small red box, which is pretty cool, and then he does a bigger one, which is more of an all voice 8-bit with some keys on it. You could play some Mario on there. Pretty sweet stuff. You can find Michael Rucci on Etsy.com, and I'll link you guys later tonight for Michael Rucci. He does some really phenomenal stuff. I don't think enough people have really seen his work, but it's always fun. And he's never come on the show. He's always welcome to if he ever wants to. But please, I hope you guys get a chance to look at his hardware, because he makes some fun stuff. All right, now that I've chatted a little too much, let's go on into the show, and let's start off. We're going to start off with Dirty Bill tonight. So, Bill, if you're ready, let's take it away. Thank you, Dirty Bill. That was a fantastic set. Hope everyone really enjoyed that. That was really fun. That was really nice. All right. Let's see. Excellent. So, and it was, if you guys haven't had a chance to experience Dirty Bill's visuals in person, I can't recommend it highly enough. It's always an experience to see it live in person, and it's so cool to see what he's doing behind, kind of like, just to watch what he's doing with everything. Because I haven't had the experience of playing modular video myself, but he's told me before that he's using similar units, similar modules as he would be with audio. Of course, there's different outputs here and there, of course, but it's something that I'll eventually get a chance to check out. So, if Sombre Lux is ready, I think we are ready to hear some very cool tunes. How you feeling, Jordan? You ready? We might be having some technical difficulties. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see in a sec. But let's see if we can get some. Let's see if we can get Sombre Lux going here. Not quite. Okay. We're working on it. We'll get there. We'll get there. In the meantime, it's so cool to see everybody here. Let's see who we've got in the chat. We've got, oh, look at all these wonderful people. I haven't even met any of these people. So cool. Of course, I know Alpha's there. Always glad to see you, sir. One of the coolest dudes. And we've got, who else is in here? Cats8815. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. Daydream, the Daydream, welcome. Craft Slayer, welcome. Electric Kitchen, always good to see you. Xeno Sono, thank you for coming to the show tonight. Seismic Pixel, nice to see you. New System Instruments, of course, always cool to see you. What else we have in here? Let's see. Kenzie Yarrow, welcome to the show. And I think Mode KT Official, thanks for coming. And all that's gone, always good to see you. Oh, looks like we maybe dropped out. Maybe Sombre Lux has to reboot. We'll see in a sec. Otto Leon, always good to see you, Lenny. Oh, here we are. All right, Jordan, how you doing there? Think we can get your audio going, sir? Give us a thumbs up if you think you're ready. Not quite. All right. Black Potion, thanks for coming to the show. Bill, are you mic'd?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, my because I'm doing dual streams, my phone audio is bad, so I'm using the desktop audio.
Okay. That's okay. I've been having some technical issues myself today, which has been annoying, but we're dealing with it. But well, before we get into Sombre Lux, Bill, tell us a little bit about your set tonight. Tell us a bit about the hardware you're using today.
Well, it's hang on one second. It's my LZX video modular, along with some antique mixers and things. So it's all analog. And basically just like an audio module, but works with the video frequencies.
Okay. Nice.
And I'm actually, the patch is something that came up when we did the tech rehearsal, and I just plugged in cables like crazy so that we could get everything on screen, and grew from there. So
Oh, right on. Very cool, man. No, no, it was just 2 days ago.
yeah, doing resonant frequencies is a great training method to cooking up patches on the fly. So I actually like nearly live patching. So the quicker the better, not too much thought. I think it's a little easier with video and audio because the eye is more easily fooled than the ear.
Yes, yes, it is. As a speaking from a photographer's point of view, I totally agree. I think
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
to the bandwidth of information. It's easy to distract. I think it's easier to distract people with visuals.
it is. You're absolutely right. Very cool, man. What are you've got some events coming up? Yeah.
I do. I think we're going to get resident frequencies on again. We're actually on hiatus right now. We're
Okay.
looking at a location on the peninsula. So don't have
Oh,
quite enough
that's
information to make an announcement yet, but it is in the works because
okay.
we'd love to get back to doing that safely and lively. And then I'm also going to be going on tour with Electric Kitchen, Pacific Northwest jaunt in early May.
Right.
I think he's on here. I can chime in with some links and other information that I have written down but can't easily type in right now. So that
Okay.
should be a lot of fun, actually. I'm looking forward to that a lot.
That sounds really cool. Tell me again, what's the area of the country you guys are going into? Pacific
Pacific
Northwest.
Northwest, so Eugene, Portland, Spokane, Nelson, British Columbia, and Seattle, and hopefully maybe Vancouver.
Cool. All right. Wow, that's really fantastic. There's some wonderful. That's gonna be a fun. Yeah. Man, that's gonna be a good tour.
I love working with Mark, and I'm looking forward to this quite a bit.
Yeah, and thanks for letting us know about what's going on with resonant frequencies. We all miss it, and I've been out of the loop myself on what's been going on with it. So thanks for filling
It's
us in about.
it's been radio silence, so that's probably why everybody's out of the loop. But
Okay.
hopefully, we will be making some announcements soon. Kevin has been pretty tied up getting his new studio together. He moved the gray room out of Soundwave, and I think he just went live the last couple of weeks at his new location, Emeryville. So
Oh, okay. Cool. I had again, yeah. Radio silence, very excellent news. All the best to Kevin. I haven't talked to him in some time, so I'm hoping that he's doing okay.
he's doing well. He's just been underwater doing a complete studio build up.
Wow.
I should be seeing him this week, and I will give him the message, and hopefully we get him back online and maybe even here. You never know.
Well, that'd be cool. Yeah, be good to get him back on here when he's ready, of course. And I'm sure he's busy with the whole studio thing. But once he's fired back up, um, let him know that it'd be great to have him come on Piqued again and maybe do some announcements and maybe do a performance. Um, for those of you who weren't present at that show, we had Kevin perform at Piqued when we used to do live shows back in 2019. He played with Scott. That's all that's gone before he changed his artist name, and that was a fun show. That was like maybe the second or third show we did. Ah, geez, almost 3 years ago. It is kind of amazing. I was just thinking about it as we're getting ready for the show this week. I was thinking back that I think we first launched Piqued in April of 2019, and getting close to the 3 year mark, which I'm a little, it's just kind of surprising You know, you don't expect those things to kind of creep up on you when you look back at how much how many shows we've done.
Yeah, it time flies, that's for sure. Because all of a sudden it's like, wow, I've been doing this for 3 years. So, and then 4, and then
Definitely. I'm just typing out to the guys, see where we're at. But looks like we're still having little issues. But okay, we're still working on it. We're still working. We'll get Sombre Lux going
technology.
here. As you can see, I'm broadcasting from my iPhone because just like as right before the show started, my my webcam just wouldn't work. Don't know what happened. So during your set, Bill, I rebooted my entire computer, and looks like the webcam's working now. I'll try to get it going maybe after Sombre Lux's set. Maybe I can switch over to that with the actual good microphone. So I'm not talking on my
That's the
iPhone.
I lost a microphone, so I'm doing the interview from my phone. But the audio screwed up. I'm listening to the delayed version from the stream. Luckily, the latency is fairly low.
That's good. That's good. That's cool, man. So, Bill, how did you get into doing modular video, and how long have you been doing it?
I think I got my first part of the modular LZX stuff in 2013. I think it launched in 2011. Fairly limited runs initially, so finding equipment was a bit of a scavenger hunt, and you had the patience, basically. I've always been interested in video art, especially like classic stuff. This actually, that was a bunch of feedback, and that's how it pretty much started for me, pointing cameras at monitors, and actually doing video production work professionally. And then when I learned that the video modular became available, starting to get to that. So I built a system over the last, oh gosh, now it's almost a decade. And I really like it. I had always wanted a surge modular when I was in high school, and I poured over the catalogs assembling systems. And now actually I'm building one. There's one back there on the workbench. But
Cool.
for the video stuff, it just was kind of a natural fit for me, and I really enjoy making pretty pictures and not so pretty pictures, and also playing along and accompanying people as well. So,
Yeah, I know that you guys talked a little bit over the years. I think I think it was in 2019 or maybe 2020. I was texting you about doing some collaboration, and of course I dropped the ball on that. I apologize. I meant to. I don't know. I probably got distracted with way too many things going on at once. But eventually, I want to try to get a collaboration with you because I've got some wonderful videos of MRIs and wonderful stuff. Because I've got a congenital heart disease, and it's always been a fun thing going to UCSF, going to see my cardiologist, and because now I can get images from my doctors of all the fun stuff that they do inside me. You know, if they do like a sonogram, fun stuff like that, and I've been able to get some of the images from that, and I think it'd be fun to send you some of that material and see what you would like to do with it.
and I like that idea too. There's nothing like, working through your process either physically or psychically by taking real world material and then transmogrifying it into art. So that's exciting for me, and I'm happy to work with you. It'll probably be a couple years and I'll drop the ball, but then eventually we'll get to the next 5 probably.
I hope we can do a bit sooner than that. We'll see. But
oh, poof! It went poof.
and let's.
Hang on, my
There was.
audio feed went poof. We can still
Oh
hear
no.
me. No, it's fine.
Yes, we can still hear. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I just can't hear anything but you speaking glacially slow in my Bluetooth headset.
No problem. That's all right. But it'd be cool because yeah, there's some weird stuff, and and you make a great point with working through, a lot of the medical stuff that happens with me and with anyone. I think it's been a pretty positive thing for me because it hasn't been uh, a major. Well, yes, of course, surgery is a major thing in my life, but it's been manageable. I should say is that I've been lucky with my surgeons my entire life that I've actually been lucky enough to live a relatively normal life with minimal restrictions. So it's been, and I know there's a lot of people out there who have more severe issues that of course there's all kinds of reality TV shows about medical shows and people with very severe symptoms that are can be very debilitating, and as a lifelong patient, it's as I've gotten older, it's been something that I try to make positive for me, in hopes that it might help someone else if they're having medical issues that they're not used to. Because I had a friend of mine who, unfortunately, he passed away back in August of cancer, but he
Sorry.
had first got diagnosed with cancer in 2015, and before that, he had never had any medical issues, and he was a bit older than me, but it was very dramatic for him, and he knew my medical history, and I always tried to encourage him and be a positive role model for him to try to help him go through what he had to do, and his first and he beat cancer, in within the first year he had it, but unfortunately it came back a few years later. But I think it's always a good thing to try to encourage each other whenever there's a medical issue.
Yeah, agreed. We could all use to support each other as much as possible. It's not the easiest of times, no matter what. Um, and art as a practice is a good way to do that, to be compassionate with ourselves and be compassionate with others, and be able to share something uh, positive. I think it'll help. So
Yeah, and
it's certainly
there
been
was a
that kind
friend
of
of mine.
output for me. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to mention a friend of mine, in, I think in 2020, she had a hip replacement, and relatively young for her age for hip replacement, and she posted a picture of the implant, so you got to see the bone and the the hip and the actual I think the titanium replacement in her hip, and she had and so I took a screen capture and I processed it through, I think, a glitch app, and just did this cool little filter on it that made the outlines of the bones just glow in rainbows, and I sent that off to her, and she thought it was cute. She enjoyed it, so I think it was, from my point of view, I was hoping that, and I think I got the right response, was like, hey, it's okay. Let me throw some glitter on that for you, and and I just try to, even though it's an issue for anybody, of course, but I just hope that maybe you can have a little laugh and try to have a bit positivity in your life, even though she had that issue.
Yeah, it's the way I would try to to approach everything as positive as possible. It can be difficult, but I'm always looking for something to brighten my day and stay hopeful for the future.
How about that?
How about that? How about that?
Nice and
Nice
echoey.
and echoey.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Okay.
Nope. Still no good. Maybe. Any feedback now? Yeah, it still kind of is. All right, let's go on to Sombre Lux before I make everything horrible again.
Could everybody hear something?
Sombre Lux, everybody. How cool is that?
It's a lot harder than it seems.
Hey, Jordan. Thank you so much for coming on and playing with Piqued tonight in January 2022. You guys
That
hear
was
me
a
okay?
lot of fun. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of background noise.
Maybe my microphone, maybe my speakers are up too high. Okay.
That's great.
And, hopefully that's better for you guys. Good. Rich says it's better. All right. Good. And let's see. And Bill, thanks again for coming out and playing Peak tonight. Good to see you, of course. So let's get into some questions now that we've had a fantastic performance tonight from both of you. So let's dive right in and let's go over to Jordan. Tell us a little bit about how you got into playing music in general, because I believe you play cello, and tell us also how you transitioned into playing modular music.
Sure. So really started taking guitar lessons when I was little, like I think 6 years old. That's when I started, maybe 7. But it really, you know, found a companion in the guitar growing up. And then once I got into high school, played with a guitar ensemble and then also a cello in the orchestra. And then from there, it was mostly my own projects and playing in a couple bands that never really did too much. But really, in college is when I discovered making music on the computer, which really kind of opened the doors to all the other electronic music styles and artists. And eventually that moved into buying a few pieces of hardware, a few MIDI controllers, and then seeing all of the when you first look at modular and you're not really aware of what's going on, it's daunting to see all the wires and all the little modules and knobs and whatnot. But once you dig into what's going on there, it's essentially a lot of what's going on in Ableton just in physical form. So I felt like it could be a fit for me, and sure enough, it's been a lot of fun so far. Still really learning and learning my system, but yeah, it's really so far an amazing journey.
All right, very cool, man. I'm glad to hear that you have a background in playing guitar. That's always a good start for a lot of us.
Yes.
Very nice. And Bill, I was curious. We got to hear a little bit about how you got into doing modular video. Do you have any? I was curious about the music you used to accompany your video tonight. Was that one of your composers?
Yeah, so interesting tidbits that I also, my musical gateway was the guitar as well. I like shrieking feedback, but well, and Black Sabbath. But speaking of the darker type music, I love to make droney music, and so I've always had an audio rig. Um, I think I mentioned in high school I wanted to surge, and before I knew about the Eurorack video stuff, I discovered the Eurorack audio stuff, and I'm like, well, I'm going to put together a small audio setup, and I ended up with pretty much a make noise shared system that I assembled myself, and that was a good introduction into the world of Eurorack system assembly and patching. But I always like making really kind of euphonic drones, and so I've always had a system on the side. For a while there, I got pretty heavily into Peter Blazer's Seat Lombard gear, which kind of took me back to my love of bananas. So I had a pretty big random surge system, which I sold at the beginning of the pandemic, and I was like, I'm just going to replace all this stuff with a couple of Eurorack modules and be done with it. And then realized that I'm fine patching Eurorack for video, but I really like the space of 4U and banana cables for some reason. And so I've now got a built it myself, which I like to do, human comparator home built system, and I'm adding a couple panels to that. So there's always some audio stuff going on in the background, but basically it's me detuning oscillators and letting them go wow, 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 wow. So, but I do enjoy that as well. I justify it by saying, well, I got to have something to put down under the video. So that's what I do.
Very cool. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to ask you earlier about that, so thank you for letting us know about the music you like to create to accompany your modular video. It's really nice. And what I was curious, what booklet are you putting together right now?
Oh, Surge. Did I say Buchla? Buchla's what
I
all
thought
the
you
cool
said
kids are doing. Oh yeah, no, Surge. If I said Buchla, wait, I got to go to the therapist and figure out where I came from. No, Surge, because I mean, you build all that stuff yourself. But I think maybe my prejudice goes back to my high school days of really liking the Surge and really liking the People's synthesizer. Probably meshes better with my anarchist roots, although Don Buchla was a unique individual as well, just like Serge Sherman. So I appreciate both their styles, but yeah, it's building a bunch of CGS Surge stuff and putting it behind panels. Keep you busy learning troubleshooting circuits and being a machinist and all kinds of things. So
it definitely does. You know, that's I'm not myself. I'm not into soldering. I just didn't grow up with it, and I've never had a proper tutelage in it. It's and my experience in it has been very minimal, and it's been proven to be difficult for me. So I really need I really need to take a class in that to figure it out. I'm curious about it, and I think it would be fun if I had some good training in it.
it's an interesting thing to do.
Admire all of you who do that.
Is anyone who gets to it because they think it's cheaper than just buying modules, you're mistaken. Not in the long run. And also, there's a lot of holes in a Surge panel.
Wow.
It looks like, you see them, it's a lot of knobs, but until you drill them all out and then deeper them, you're like, wow, that's 100 holes in that panel. But yeah, it's satisfying. I find it meditative as well. So.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, I've got. I grew up doing construction with my dad and my grandfather, so I always thought it'd be kind of neat to get more into doing something that has more of that's of electronics to deal with. And growing up in Marin, there was actually, I think there still is there's one electronic store in San Rafael, in downtown San Rafael on 4th Street. It might be called Electronics Plus. I think it's still there.
Called Electronics Plus. It is still there. I was there last week. So they're one of the few places, don't tell anyone, who still has actually older, rarer, obsolete parts, like small polystyrene capacitors and things like that. So, and the place is a time capsule as well. And everyone who works there is a total character. So even if you're not into electronics, I recommend to visit if you're in downtown San Rafael to Electronics Plus. It'll make your day.
They've always been helpful, even though I've always had to go down there to find like obscure parts, and they tend to have them. It's pretty amazing.
It's an amazing place. There are very, very few places like that, I think, left in the world that have new old stock electronic equipment from like 1979, still with the original retail price tag on
it. Yeah, I think back in 2004, 2005, my friends and I were recording our vinyl into MP3s, and this is before any company was putting out um, USB enabled phonographs. So I had to use, I just had to do it myself, and I was using, PC and with a sound card, and we had you know we had proper quarter-inch jacks going out, or maybe we had no, I think we were using RCA cables. Yeah, we had to use RCA cables going directly into the computer to record into, geez, what was I using back then? I think I was using SoundForge or Acid to record everything back then, and just to make just so we could throw things onto CDs and play them in our cars, because we had a bunch of vinyls from the 80s and 70s that had not yet made it onto CDs or anything like that. And and Electronic Plus was the place I went to find all the little bits and extra heads and needles I needed for the phonograph.
Yeah, they actually do have a like turntable graveyard there still. Like there's turntables in every aisle. I don't know why that is, but it's an interesting place.
It sure is very cool. And Jordan, do you do any DIY stuff, or not into
So
that?
I did the Plinky kit. I had to wait like 8 months to get this thing.
Nice.
I absolutely love it. But beyond that, nothing yet. I'd love to get into it a little bit more. I think there is something meditative about the soldering.
Nice. And Jordan, can you walk us through a little bit of your set tonight with the hardware you were using? As we're all really enjoying the journey that you took us on tonight.
Awesome. Yeah. And how did the sound come through okay after kind of the
It worked
technical
out, yeah.
difficulty? Okay. Yeah. So really the control center I'm using is the BeatStep Pro. I'm actually sending MIDI to the base station too for some of the lead stuff. I've been very impressed with the base station too in terms of getting weird, gritty sounds out of it. And then, of course, the DFAM. I use the DFAM really to kind of fill in the empty spaces when I lay a drum beat down, sequenced by the BeatStep Pro. All the drum samplers are coming from the Bitbox Micro. And then from there, yeah, Plinky. I don't know if you could hear the very robotic playback on the vocal sample early on in the set.
Yes, I heard that.
That's coming from Plinky. It allows you to kind of use the touch sensitive interface to kind of manipulate the samples as you move around the face of the module, which is super cool. I'm using the Cutting Room Floor version 2 from Recovery for some tape delay on the drums.
Nice.
I really like that module. And then most of my drums are being sent through the VL Runia or Viol Runia. And it's just nice to have a filter with a little bit of distortion. I think that works well for my sound. I really like to lay textures down using the Erica Black Wavetable VCO. You can get some very, very interesting textures when you're sending CV to the. Let's see here. I have to take a look. The wave and the CV in terms of using the bit crush and all of that stuff. You can get really, really strange, kind of evolving, organic sounding textures out of it. So I highly recommend that. Most of the effects that I'm using is coming out of the Tip Top Z5000. I kind of, I set a couple of reverbs and delays in there that I like, and I don't really use too much beyond those 2 or 3. So I enjoy that one. And then really in terms of kind of the capstone for this setup right now in this smaller case is the Grone Dark Drone machine by Maneco Labs. It's kind of a 3-in-1 module. I use it for texture purposes, obviously for kind of drone sounding stuff. It's got I believe an MS-20 filter in it. It's got clouds in it. And then you get to look at this, cool face the whole time. So that's fun too.
Nice.
And then rings in here as well. But yeah, I feel like it's a fairly simple setup. I do have an ornaments and crime here as well, which I do find to be very useful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think fairly simple, but there's still a lot to learn. And at this point, it's giving me a good launching point for, creating a sound that is, true to what I'm trying to achieve at least.
What setting are you using in ornaments and crime?
Hemispheres. I'm running hemispheres, and then normally I'll just use an ASDR filter, or excuse me, an envelope for the black wavetable VCO, so I can use that and play it on the BeatStep Pro. But tonight I just basically let the oscillator run, or let it run.
Nice.
And then, some utility stuff. Got the Quantus Ampla. I'll use that for ducking. Tonight I was using it as basically a 4-channel mixer. And I've got the tip-top fold processor if I want some extra distortion. And got the dope for dual VCA given to me by Colin Williams Modect. He just won the Error Grid contest. Awesome guy.
Nice.
But he sent this to me, so eternally grateful there. Love that thing.
That's so cool.
But again, fairly kind of simple setup, but so far it's doing what I wanted to do at this point.
And it sounded great tonight, man. I know we had some technical difficulties here and there tonight, but overall, you did a fantastic set.
Thank you. It's difficult. 30 minutes on a modular setup of this size, I feel is kind of, I could be wrong, but it was kind of challenging. So thank you for the challenge.
I hope it encourages you to do more.
Oh, for sure.
Cool, man. So, and let's go over to Bill. Can you tell us a bit about the modules you're using to perform tonight?
I can. So mostly video modules. So that's pretty much LZX modular. I was using the memory palettes or frame buffer for the textural stuff in the background, and then some ramp generators, which I'm trying to think of the audio equivalent of these modules. So the memory palettes would definitely be your digital delay and feedback machine, and the ramp generators are interesting because they hold one waveform across the video frame. So it would be a triangle or a portion of a circle, or some logarithmic or linear shape, and then they move those in space up and down, back and forth. And so those controlled a lot of the motions. In fact, usually they're mirrored, but I shut the mirror off so that you could see the hard lines between the different ramps and use those as actual elements in the patch. And then at the end, there was MX70, which is a Panasonic kind of presentation mixer. So it's a video mixer, and it had a big feedback running in it. And so that got kind of the swirly video feedback stuff going in there. Use a lot of audio modules too. What I have been using quite a bit actually is the mono Teletype and the Telex expanders, because they don't go to video rate, which is a megahertz or above to get vertical lines. but they do allow you to run just about multiples of video frame rate, about 6 hertz. And so that allows me to have really slowly, excuse me, scrolling bars on the screen, and to control the shapes. So I was actually playing those by hand. I can actually play the, you can see the LO patterns in the vertical lines as they're being modulated. And that's been really, really great for me because I have a bunch of the expanders now. And so I have like, it's like a 16 phase LFO. And then I can break that out and go up and down. And then I have them all up to a sweet 16 fader, which is a version of the 16N fader. And so I can control almost all the parameters via the sliders as well.
Wow. 16 LFO.
And that yeah, 16, yeah. You go in there and calculate all this stuff. I really like kind of the mono universe that they made. I'm not really a programmer, but as long as the code out there, I can hack it. That's pretty good. One of the things I did, there's a built-in quantizer code in the expanders, and I changed the code so instead of running musical frequencies, it runs multiples of that video frame rate. And so that allows me to keep the bars, the modulation from spazzing out all over the place. And I can actually get it incredibly slow. Like one bar can take about 20 to 30 minutes to crawl across the screen, which I like things slow. So
nice.
That worked for me. Yeah. I have a question about Plinky, Jordan. Did you get from Thonk?
I did, yeah.
Kit? Yeah. Didn't come with any stickers, did it?
You know what? I think it did come with a sticker. It's probably still in the
Did it
box.
come with a Finord sticker? So there's a secret plot of Discordians who are distributing Finord stickers worldwide, and I hear that Thonk is in on the conspiracy. So I was just curious about that.
Yeah, I'll get back to you. I'll have to take a look at the box. I do think there is one in there, though.
Hang on. Corey's getting up too.
Yeah, I gotta show it to you guys. just so everyone has a visual reference.
What the sticker looks like?
Of the Finord. Here we go.
The
There it
Finord
is.
sticker.
There you go,
Oh yeah,
guys.
Finord. And then there's just the original edition, and then the second edition.
Yeah.
It may be one of those. It's a reference to Robert Anton Wilson's Illuminatus trilogy. And just enough said. But that would be interesting if you had a thing on.
I'll definitely take a look.
The Plink is really, really cool. So
I feel like I've just scratched the surface. It really, I mean, like we were talking about there, the sample playback and kind of on the fly stretching and warping the samples on the just using the interface and adjusting the pressure and how you want it to be stretched, and 8 voices in this thing is pretty crazy too, and a pretty small package. So
And the Plinky, that's DIY only, or does it come pre-built?
I think there may be a couple of pre-builts, but I think the majority is
DIY.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's one of the reasons why I haven't picked one up yet, because I would probably not finish it myself, but it looks really cool. From the videos I've seen on Plinky, it looks pretty awesome.
It is pretty cool. Yeah, it's one of those things where if you're into the soldering, this was a pretty easy entry point. I think it was considered a beginner kit, and they soldered all the LEDs on there already, so it didn't take long. It was maybe a 2-hour project, and I've never soldered before. So
good job, right on. It's so cool. Oh, tell me guys about some of your influences musically. What are some of the music that has inspired your sound? Jordan.
If I'm listening to music, I'd say 8 or 9 times out of 10, it's classical or Baroque music. I'll be listening to, I really like Sylvius Leopold Weiss, or Weiss, his lute music in particular. So a lot of classical. picking up the cello again has kind of pushed me to go back and rediscover new and old world music in terms of cello music. And then kind of more modern or contemporary stuff. I really enjoy Lorne, and like I mentioned in the modular world, Snakes of Russia has been an influence. But I like all sorts of stuff really. Grew up listening to Jimi Hendrix, and once I got into the first 2 years of high school, I was kind of more into post-hardcore, heavier punk stuff, and then that switched over to getting into the Doors and the Mahavishnu Orchestra and Frank Zappa and stuff like that. So yeah, kind of all over the place, but definitely classical roots. And still, I go back and I'll listen to lute music and classical guitar music, and the melodies really is just, that's what gets me. Some of those melodies are so filled with feeling, and I try to create interesting melodies with these machines as well. So
Thank you. And Bill, tell us about your musical influences.
Well, musically, I think the first thing that really hit was heavy metal, probably just because of my age. So it was definitely Black Sabbath, but that grew into a lot of things. So, and actually interesting, Jordan, there is a Black Sabbath cover album by this band it's a group called Rondulus. I think they're from somewhere in Eastern Europe, but it's actually all medieval arrangements of Black Sabbath chanted in Latin. And I'll turn you on to that because it's absolutely amazing.
Please do. That sounds awesome.
That is one of the things I will say. Hearing Black Sabbath arranged other forms of music, like with full horn sections or like with only medieval instruments and voice, is pretty amazing. But from there, I also took a reactionary turn and got into pretty serious punk rock, late 70s, early 80s, and then all kinds of music. So most recently, I've been listening a lot to Captain Beefheart in the Talking Heads. First, probably Eno era albums most, but I listen to lots of stuff, bluegrass, acid jazz, jazz, and metal. And as far as like on the visual side of things, I took pictures from time, photographed. So a lot of, even though it may be difficult to see in the work, a lot of things that have informed my eye have been classic photographers, including rock and roll photographers, and also abstract impressionists, and probably Rothko is probably the biggest single influence on me, I think, visually. I never get tired of looking at those. So.
I'm really glad you brought up Rothko, because I really like modern art myself. I think Robert Rauschenberg and Jasper Johns have been some of my bigger influences going through high school and college. It's always great to hear and see those visuals.
Yeah, well, and I like the way that different styles of work inform other styles of work, and I think that's part of that process of synthesizing your own art is all those disparate influences, and I find the more disparate influences, the better. The more you can expose yourself to, the more you'll have the possibility of learning. So even stuff you don't necessarily like too much.
There's some really wonderful things out there that can really expand your perspective, that if you aren't really used to it. And I think that's something that the art world can really do for a lot of people that a lot of people, I think, are not really aware of if they don't really get out to galleries or the museums. Alvister and I got a chance to go out to the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art last year together to go check out. Oh darn it, I can't remember his name. Why can uh, uh, God, I can't remember the name of the artist right now. And if he's here, he'll let me know. But it was Namjoon
Oh yeah,
Pike or
Namjoon Pike.
I always say it
Namjoon
wrong.
Pike. Yep.
That's it. Yeah.
Yep. It's Pike like the Pike axe. Yeah. Um, that was an
Yeah.
amazing show. Some friends of mine actually were involved in helping do some of the restoration when they put the show together in the Tate. I think it was co-curated across the pond by a couple groups, and then I was really happy to hear that it was going to make its way here, and then have to wait like 2 years before it was announced. But that was a great show. Any retrospective of Pike's work span like pretty much Fluxus performance art. I'm cutting your tie off, John Cage, while you're sitting in the audience, through the video stuff, through his later large scale installation work. It's really great to be able to see that arc across a career of a truly brilliant artist. I definitely know what you're saying, Cord, about that was a powerful show in its scope, and I saw a lot of people there as well. I think I saw it 3 times, and going through there, watching other people and their reactions to the show, um, pretty amazing. So you see more art, and if you can't go to the galleries, we'll bring it to you in the streets, hopefully.
San Francisco's pretty good about that. And
True.
yeah, seeing Namjoon Pike in person was really fun. I remember learning about his art in college, and I was at SF State. I took a class in it was a Asian American art, and that was the name of I believe that was the name of the class of the course that we took. So it had this great focus on various people from different Asian countries who had either they were first generation or second generation Americans, and we got to experience what they were doing with their cultural background in immigrating into America. And Namjoon Pike was one of those wonderful artists that I got to learn about at that time. And this is in the early aughts, maybe 2006, 2005, I think is when that class was, or maybe about that time. And and his stuff was really great. I loved learning about the Fluxus, and I really enjoyed his photography pieces he did on Zen. And there was like all these different takes on like Zen for your head, and wonderful pieces like that. And there'd be him just kind of like running his head on the ground, and it was kind of that really different ideas that I think were something that you really don't get to experience in your standard classroom. And it's been and there's really great other artists that came along with that as well. And like gosh, I can't even remember half the names of all those amazing artists. There was so many in that class because we got to experience so much from that class of different cultures coming together and clashing in some parts, of course. Masami Teraoka is probably one of my favorite artists that I've known of since probably like maybe 2000 or so, and he actually lectured at my school once in, again, I think it was about 2006. He was a guest lecturer, and I had the pleasure of actually knowing his work before, years before, and it was really exciting for me to actually get to meet him. And if you haven't seen Masami Teraoka's work, he's originally from Japan, and he did these amazing pieces when he first immigrated to America, where he did these great, I would say like ukiyo-e prints that were culture clashes, like literal culture clashes. He was taking the ukiyo-e samurai characters and putting them on the beach in America with women in bikinis, and and then he would do pieces where it'd be like a beautiful landscape, and there would be a McDonald's wrapper from a burger just in there. And again, that was another great play on culture clash, on how fast food industry culture has influenced even Japanese culture, and how it's changed their perspectives, and when in different ways. I wouldn't say exactly positive or negatives exactly, but you can see how it changes the cultures, and his work has evolved well beyond that as well over the years.
It's worth checking
let's
out
get
because
back
I just
into
looked it up.
some...
I thought I was familiar with that. So
okay, sorry about that. Let's go back into the music. Sorry about that.
I will say,
hey, Art.
moving out west, got out here in like 2016 or so, and came out here from Washington, D.C., or just outside of D.C., and being able to go into the city and go to all those amazing art museums, on a regular basis and for free. I miss that a lot.
So, Jordan, tell us about that a bit. I didn't know you were from Washington, D.C.
My dad was in the military, so we moved around quite a bit, but ended up living on the Maryland side for 10 plus years, and then he ended up buying he was a military surgeon and ended up buying a practice out here. So I picked up, my wife and I, we all moved out here. The whole family's out here in Oregon right now. But yeah, came out here from Washington, D.C., had the pleasure of living in Okinawa, Japan for a little while, and
Wow.
And in Sicily, Italy as well. So a lot of adventure there.
Wow, that's really neat, man. I had no idea, and that's very cool to have that experience in your life, to be traveled so much.
Oh, enrichment, truly, it was amazing.
Yeah, travel always is one of the most enriching things, to experience cultures firsthand. It's one to watch like a TV special or something, or a live stream special, I should say, I guess nowadays, on on different cultures and what's out there. But then it's another totally different to be right there and experience it.
Truly. And that's one of those things where I'm just itching to get back to Japan at some point. It's been 20 plus years now as a little kid.
Yeah, I got a chance to go to Japan in, I think it was 2018. 2018. My girlfriend and I spent 2 weeks in Japan. We went for her birthday. It was in July, so I would not recommend going back in July. We were there during a heat wave.
Yeah.
It was a little rough, but we still had a good time. It was still a wonderful culture to experience. We spent a week between those 2 weeks. We started in Tokyo, and then by train we went to Kyoto and then Osaka, and flew home from Osaka. And I would also say I would fly into Osaka and out of Osaka, and I would not go back. And I would say don't fly close to Tokyo, because that airport, I forget the name of it. It was that was a very busy airport, but the airport outside of Osaka was much more pleasant, and the aquarium in Osaka is amazing.
That's one of the things I remember about Okinawa was the aquarium. Massive whale shark just floating around in there, swimming around in the middle of a building.
So impressive.
Yeah.
My God. And you got to, tell me, did that aquarium, so you got to walk, did you have to walk around that aquarium?
Yep.
Yeah. That's so cool. That was such a great experience. Yeah. And I had a wonderful time in Japan, and I too cannot wait to go back. It was such a wonderful experience. And there's so many different areas that I didn't get to explore. Like I would love to go to Okinawa or Shikoku. There's some really wonderful places out there that are, much more rural, I would say, probably compared to the bigger cities that we went to. But and Kyoto I think was really one of my favorite places because wasn't as busy as Tokyo and Osaka. It was a bit more laid back and I think it had a bit more of the old school tradition, especially with the Torii Shrines mountain that you can climb by yourself,
Nice.
which was that's quite a hike, especially when it's 100 degrees out. But it's definitely worth it. It's so beautiful out there.
100% humidity in Okinawa. I remember that.
Oh God. We got to love a particular drink called Pocari Sweat. It's basically like Gatorade, but with less sugar.
Nice. I missed the CC lemon. I don't know if you had that.
Yes, we did. We would get the liter bottles. I carry a backpack with me at all times. We had a liter of Pocari Sweat, a liter of CC lemon.
That's awesome.
And a liter of green tea at all times.
Nice. Beautiful.
And that actually kept my back kind of cold because we always hit up the 7-Eleven because that was everywhere.
Right. And I think I saw a fact that was like the majority or there are more 7-Elevens per capita in Japan than anywhere else. I thought it would be in the United States, but it's in Japan.
Oh, do you know if that's a Japanese company or is that an American company?
It could be now. It could be.
Because they were everywhere. 7-Eleven is everywhere where we went in Japan. And it was, not only was it everywhere, but it was like one of the best places to go to get affordable and very good sushi. Like we had onigiri for breakfast every day. We always got the bonito flake and dried plum onigiri at 7-Eleven for breakfast. It was always good.
That's amazing. And probably packaged perfectly, and so much pride is taken in how they present things and everything. So
cool. There's a little plastic tab that would separate the seaweed from the rice, so it wouldn't get soggy until you ate it. It's amazing.
Thoughtful.
Pretty amazing. And the vending machine culture is amazing out there too. Like we would get Boss coffee from a vending machine every day, basically wherever we started out.
Yeah, there's a particular blueberry chewing gum that my dad was addicted to, and anytime we can find it, we'll snatch up a few packages.
That I didn't experience. I'll have to look for that. That's pretty neat. That's so cool. Well, we're actually a little over time. It's about 9:05 p.m. over here, and guys, I think I got a little carried away a little bit with some of the conversations, but I think we all had a pretty good evening tonight. How are you guys feeling?
Yeah, great. Thanks for having us on to perform, at least for me. Yeah. I really enjoy getting to do it and get to talk about it, so thanks a lot. And enjoyed your work as well. Sombre Lux.
No, thank you. Likewise. And this is my first live stream, so thank you for that. And look forward to doing more in the future. And apologies for the technical difficulties there.
I think that's the nature of live streaming. So.
Oh yeah, you're gonna get used to it. It's an ongoing thing. But so before we go, I'd like to let us know about some of the upcoming events or releases you guys have kind of coming up. Bill, you said you mentioned you're going to be doing a tour through Pacific Northwest pretty soon with our friend Mark Electric Kitchen, which I'm really glad you guys are doing that. That's going to be an exciting thing. And do you have any other events coming up that you would like to mention?
Just that we're going to get, I think we're going to get Resident Frequencies back again. That hopefully we'll be able to make an announcement sometime in the next 30 to 60 days. We're still technically looking for a venue, but we've got some places to shout. And it looks like it will be on the city side this time. So more information on that soon. Stay tuned. We'll probably make it available on it'll be all over leftist lights, I'm sure.
Yes.
And then actually, probably not much else really. I guess that was the public announcement of the tour with Mark. So you heard it here first. And I'm pretty sure the webpage is ready. I don't know if Mark posted it, but we'll get that up here, Left Coast Lights, very soon. But that's about it. Pretty much just do studio work. So.
Okay, very cool. And Jordan, same thing for you. What's going on with Sombre Lux? Are there any upcoming events you're going to be participating in, or do you have any new releases coming up on Bandcamp?
I do have a release, a single coming out on the 28th, so coming up here pretty soon, called Shadow Eyes. Again, I'm just starting to really kind of pull the modular into Ableton and that making that a part of my producing. So excited to see how that continues to develop. But yeah, the 28th, and then a number of cool projects right now. I'm playing with a band locally called The West is Burning. We're talking about playing some shows locally and then hopefully along the West Coast. And then, yeah, a number of cool visual collaborations going on. But, you know, dates to be determined there. So
Excellent.
that's about it.
Well, thank you very much. So everyone, you've been listening to Dirty Bill and Sombre Lux over on Piqued tonight. And I want to thank you both for coming out tonight and playing a great show. We've had a great audience participation tonight, and it's been so much fun having you guys. If to the audience, I want to let you guys know, if any of you have not been on Piqued, but if you would like to be on Piqued, you can always contact me. Just hit me up through Instagram. You can find me at Corey Z Luna on Instagram. Let me throw that up on YouTube and Twitch over here. So please feel free to reach out to me if you've got some music or you're doing video. You would like to do a presentation, please let me know. We're always looking for new people to come on Piqued. I'm always happy to showcase artists I haven't heard of, or if I do know you and I haven't had you on before, let me know. If I get a little distracted sometimes with so many different things going on at once, I might forget. So remind me if I have invited you and haven't had you on yet, or if you just want to, please come and reach out to me. I'm always open to hear the music you've got going on, and we're always looking for new people. And it doesn't matter like where you are in the world. I'm looking for more international people to come on, which is always I think is a fantastic thing that we can do that now, which is always really fun. So, oh, it's getting late. I should stop talking. Everyone, please stay home, stay safe as you can. I do appreciate you all. It's been a lot of fun. I can't believe Piqued has been going on this long, and I'm really happy it has. So, Jordan and Bill, thanks again tonight, and stay home and stay safe. Good night.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.